racks and shelves contain a lot of books. How do you feel about them? Are they your friends? Although libraries differ, basically the task of the individual librarian remains the same, bringing books and people together.
Journalism that matters supports the people who are shaping the emerging news and information landscape. And we do it in a way that is about inventing new forms while making the best of the traditional principles and practices of journalism. We've been doing this for 10 years, have held 16 gatherings that have brought together about 1,600 people. And we do it by convening conversations, bringing together the diversity of the system, which continues to change, and asking leading-edge questions. So, for example, this gathering of Beyond Books, bringing together journalists and librarians, is taking us in a new direction where we're bringing together an intersection that hasn't yet been explored really by anyone.
Journalists are, by our nature, fairly good hunter-gatherers, and librarians are good keepers. And I think it's a good partnership.
In terms of that connective tissue, one way that it seems like our two institutions have a lot in common is the desire and ability to share information around a community's collective history and sense of identity.
My question is, what instructional strategies help kids care about news and current events while building library engagement skills?
It's essential to make people comfortable enough to share their stories, give them a reason that is in their best interest, and make it findable.
Princeton is the home to hundreds, literally hundreds of nonprofit organizations. And they have been frustrated by the inability of print media to pick up on their information. And so I've been encouraging them to simply take charge. We've built a partnership with the local library so we could mobilize the community to do a gathering of local history, of local civics, and then have the library keep it as a community database.
So the Public Insight Network is a method, a platform, if you will, for increasing public participation in news gathering and for also fostering collaboration among journalists and newsrooms and civic organizations around the country.
I'm a design builder.
I'm an urban gardener. I'm a PhD student in criminology law and society.
I have an expertise in construction history.
And I'm a source. And I'm a source.
And I really like being a source.
We went to the American Library Association convention in Washington, D.C. in June, and we had a booth and signed up about 500 librarians around the country to be sources in the Public Insight Network. So we're launching a project called America at the Library, and it will give libraries around the country the opportunity to put a little widget, a little interactive map on their websites, and you'll be able to basically slide a time slider across the map and see around the country how people are using the library at any given moment of a day.
We're involved in a project in East St. Louis to train citizens in digital storytelling, and this is a collaboration between us and the Graduate School of Library and Information Sciences at the University of Illinois, and it really is a community-based journalism program. And we work with a lot of students in these kind of computer labs, a youth media project we've been doing for 8 years now. And what happens is you take kids who aren't doing well in school, the so-called at-risk kids, and teach them how to tell their own stories and how to interview their elders, because we try to take an intergenerational approach. And so suddenly they're engaged in their community in a way they never were before, and they feel confident that they have agency, that they are able to do something for their community, for themselves.
What we find out of these conferences, because people get to talk to each other who don't usually interact, is they come away inspired with new ideas, they find new partners, and creative and ambitious projects result.
It's sort of like freedom of information requests brought into the digital age. You just type in what you want, click, and then we handle the rest. And then we also do this in a very open, transparent way, so that you can share these requests. You can easily embed them on your sites, and you can actually share the request page so everybody can track its progress. So if somebody's just not answering your legal freedom of information request, you can highlight that it's overdue and kind of explain this and share this with everybody else.
The Investigate Dashboard is an initiative that intends to connect journalists to outside sources, and this of course includes connections to librarians. What we are is a network of investigative journalists that investigate corruption and crime all over the world. And the idea is to also put all this data in one place, so that, for instance, if I know that a person might have a company in an offshore haven, and if I know that she or he is using that company, for some wrongdoing, I don't have to go country by country, but I go to a central place where all this information is indexed and it's free of charge.
And both librarians and journalists, so heavily represented in this room, are some of the people who fight to get us the information we need.
I am interested in participatory democracy and the idea of the museum as a gathering place.
And my fundamental problem as a PR person for a library is making civic engagement hot.
I think librarians especially have a critical role to play in providing research assistance to journalists now that so many library newsrooms have been cut.
That they're not just reference sources or providers of books and online access, but they're collaborators in a community sense.
Librarians as humans and as sort of our networked little selves, we're really nimble and smart and engaged and care a lot about this notion. So I think the more we can sort of decentralize and network a little bit with journalists at settings like this, I think that works really well.
Any part of a partnership is working through your preconceptions of what you think the other institution is about. So we've been doing a lot of that.
It's so great to see all these people in one room with so many new ideas and so much enthusiasm for the subject that I think it's a great taking off point.
So, what's possible for our communities and democracy when librarians and journalists work together?
You will derive satisfaction from a knowledge that your work is vital and essential in forming the kind of world in which you want to live.